Hello. I am going to attempt to redo a video that I did yesterday. Actually, I did 3 videos yesterday. They were all a complete disaster. I wasn't really in the right, I suppose, the right frame of mind to create. My brother and sister-in-law were in the hospital awaiting baby number 7, and he arrived safely. So I'm going to give it another go today, but I will show you the disastrous items that I tried to make yesterday. These were inspired by Wendy and Rachel, who have been doing lots of envelope flippy pocket things. So I have this one, which has 3 pockets, but my paper isn't straight. I cannot for the life of me get a neat edge. Probably should have inked, maybe overhung a little bit and glued in a better way. So I was not happy with that at all. I then had a go at this one, which is just an A5 envelope, which I folded in half, and it's kind of wonky, and this one is even worse. There was glue seeping out everywhere. It just didn't work out for me. I might be able to salvage these somehow. And then I came up with this, which was a much better way for me to create very simple envelope pockets, because that's what they are. They're just very simple envelope pockets. And I got my neat edge. So I'm going to show you what I did and maybe do a little variation on it. So, I don't have any book pages as such. What I have done is just photocopy some of my kind of vintage pages and ephemera and bits and pieces. So I'm going to use these. These are some gorgeous Portuguese ledger that I picked up a few weeks ago. And we're just going to kind of relax it a little bit and try not to stress about this too much, like I was yesterday. So I am going to make simple pockets with these envelopes. I have a couple of, where are they? I have a couple of white ones as well, and I have a couple of small ones, which is I'm going to attempt to do a little flip with those. And I just thought we could see how it goes. So I've added some acetone to my Fabri-Tac. I'm hoping it's going to work today. So the first thing I am going to do for this one is I'm just going to take the envelope and I'm going to seal it shut. Very simply glue my envelope closed. And I always do a marvellous job of getting glue on my lovely Arteza mat, but it comes off so easily just with a baby wipe. I don't really have to, I'm just picking at that because it's there. Now I'm going to have this as the back, so it will be attached to my page, and this will be the front. Actually, it doesn't really matter. You might see the creases of the envelope on the front, but you know, either way is fine. And I'm going to attempt to do, actually the first one, I'm just going to make a very, very simple pocket and show you how I did it. We'll start there. Okay, so I'm going to just take this ledger page and take the very big scissors and just cut that end off. And I'm going to line, actually I'm not going to line any of it up. I'll show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn that over and I'm just going to glue this piece of my envelope. And I don't know why I'm so determined to get a neat edge, because it really doesn't matter. It is, you know, we're doing junk journals, we're creating something from paper, and I don't know, maybe it's because I don't know, I'm just feeling a bit of a perfectionist at the minute, and it's not normally how I work, but for some reason not having a neat edge on these flippy pocket envelopey things really did bother me. I'm not going to be concerned too much where I lay this down, as long as I've got it fairly even. And I know it's more interesting further in. So I'm just leaving a little edge there. Just going to push that down. And there you go. See, I've already got glue on my paper. It's because it's on my mat and there. Okay. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just leave a little border around the edge there and around the edge here. I'm going to cut the top off last. I'm not going to do that right now. And what I'm going to do is just miter the edges right up to the corner of that envelope. And I'm at this point just double checking I've got my ledger up the right way round, and I have. So I'm going to fold this in, and fold this in, and fold that in. Give that a nice little crease, and I'm just going to glue these little flaps. And even though I have added some acetone to my Fabri-Tac, it's still not going well. Oh, and I just got glue on the back of the envelope. I might get a little Luna visit in a minute. She has already been having a nice little chew at her feather. And of course she's sitting on the paper that I'm going to use in a minute. I think it's nap time. So, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim, but I'm going to take a very, very small amount off that edge to make my pocket. Just a sliver. And now I have my nice neat edges that are not driving me crazy. And now I'm going to keep this little scrap here. Just going to take my pencil, I'm just marking, sort of guesstimating halfway. I'm going to use my cutter to just cut a little nick out of there. Grab my ink. So I'm going to do just the front bit there first, and then I'm going to do along the inside back. I can do the rest of the inking in a bit. Now I'm gonna cut a piece of this. I actually want that to show if possible. It doesn't need to be a very big piece. Just ink the top of that. Add a bit of glue. I feel like I should have, you know, a nice big mug of coffee to just chat and craft with you today. You're not really going to see that, but I was hoping you were going to see the text, but you can't. But at least we've got a little bit covered there, so it matches the ledger paper. So that's the first bit done. I haven't actually got bits and pieces out to decorate, but what I do want to do is try and keep it neat for me. Maybe add a second one, maybe even make that shorter, or use a much smaller envelope for my flap. And I don't know why I'm concerned about making things that are not quite level, because this envelope isn't, the edge of the envelope doesn't actually match at all. So I think I might go for this small one. Although it would work just as easily with a larger one, I'm going to use this. Okay, so the first thing is, if I'm going to cover up this seam that's going to show, although I think it might make it bulky and a little bit difficult to close. So what I'm going to do is I'm just closing the flap the other way. I'm going to ink that. I haven't done a prototype of this particular one. All I've done is learn from the mistakes I made on the other two, and we're just going to give this a go. Now what I am going to do on this one is I'm going to, now that's pointless because I'm going to cut it off. I am going to ink around the edge. No, I'm going to ink the bottom. That's what I'm going to ink. I'm going to ink the bottom because that's probably the only piece of the envelope that's going to show. Okay. So, let's see. I don't want that fairly lined. I want it fairly lined up to the bottom. I am going to work on this side first, but I'm probably going to go all the way round. So what have I got in my, I do love that ledger. I actually like this piece I have here. Oh, that's quite interesting. I think this is from a notebook that I got from Patty. Is that's the almost the perfect width. And I am going to trim the top off there, so I do think I'm going to use this piece here. All I did was just pop it into the scanner, photocopied a couple of different elements that I had that had interesting patterns and shapes. It's kind of my small attempt to not do everything botanicals. Right, so that is a coincidence. It's amazing sometimes when things just work out the perfect size, but I certainly haven't done this intentionally. It was just, like I said, just printed. Okay, so I'm going to put a very small bead of glue up here to make sure I get a pocket. I probably should have found out my art glitter glue because that's got a nice point. And then I'm going to glue the whole envelope back. I want to get close to that bottom because that's the bit that's going to bug me if it's not nice and neat. Don't know why, just did. Yesterday I was getting so frustrated with myself that I couldn't get a neat edge. And Wendy's look marvellous, and so do Rachel's. Rachel does lots more kind of collage of the back piece, which, you know, she just gets such a nice finish, and I don't know how she does it. And you can watch the videos over and over and over and over again, and then as soon as you sit down to try and do something, you know, to follow their tutorial, in my case, I cannot remember a thing. So you kind of want to watch as you're creating. Now what I hope is I haven't got glue too far down there. I'm going to have a really narrow pocket here, but I'm not going to glue this just yet. So this is going to be the front, the bit that shows. So again, that bottom bit is what I'm really concerned with. And up here, because that's the bit that I'm going to cut. And now I'm going to, probably should have put the crease in before I glued, but I didn't. Yep, definitely should have put this crease in before I tried to glue. So I'm just going to fold this over. I'm not going to touch it with this hand for a second until I've got rid of the glue on my fingers. So that's the inside and the outside. And now I'm just going to fold the envelope flap, and I'm going to glue that too, so the outside will have a nice neat edge too. I would maybe use a glue stick for this, but it dries so much quicker. Fabri-Tac. Okay, so I'm gonna trim here, and this is going to be at the back, so I'm not too worried about, I don't want to trim perfectly, I'm just going to mitre that edge like so. Oh, I can't pick it up. Okay, I'm just going to make sure this is really nicely glued down. Now the last thing I'm going to do is, this is going to be attached like so. So I'm just going to make my little cut across that top edge, just taking a sliver. Oh, that's a bit better. So now I've got my pocket at the top here, and I'm going to make a tiny little mark, take a little snip out of there. Nope, that one's too big. Should have known. Hopefully I can get this one. Can't actually see what I'm doing if I don't put it in upside down. Okay, and this time I'm just going to ink that inside. And around the outside edge. Okay, that's looking okay. So the last thing to do is glue this flap down, and this is all going to be attached to a journal page, so I'm not going to worry about what the back of it looks like. You could always use an extra sheet of paper or patterned paper or whatever you want to kind of cover that back panel up if you just wanted it to be an insert rather than attached to your journal or page. I've got a little bit of glue there. Okay. Oh, I've got glue everywhere. I don't know what's wrong with me lately. I'm just so clumsy. It's like being at school. You used to get glue everywhere over your fingers. I mean, I do generally get glue everywhere anyway, but it just seems to be so much more lately. Just give it a nice, make sure there is no stray glue. Okay, I'm actually quite happy with that. So I've got my pocket here and I've got my pocket here. If I really wanted to, I could create a third pocket by just gluing around the edge, or I could just make it a tuck spot by gluing these two edges, and that could go into my journal like so. Okay, so decorating. Like I said, I didn't get out any papers. I do have a tin in front of me with some labels, and I also have my stamp album. These are literally just things that I have photocopied. I want that to maybe look a little bit maybe that should go on the top. Let's see. I'm going to grab my tear ruler, I think. this a little bit of a torn edge. Okay, I've got the holes in here from when it was, let's see if I can find my little hole punch. I have a teeny tiny one somewhere. No, I've just got my standard one. That would be fine. Just gonna cut those holes out. Give this an ink. Let's see if I can ink those holes a little bit too. Should probably, before I go any further, kind of fold that back on itself and just ink the edges of the pocket. Okay, and this would have been smart to do this before I glued it on. That really would have been the smart thing to do. Yep, quite like that there. Let's glue it down. I mean, this is absolutely Wendy and Rachel's inspiration. I just have no imagination mojo at the moment. After I did my Happy Mail video, I remembered I took this out of the top of the box. It was a roll of, I don't know what type of paper this is, but it is pretty awesome. That came from my Happy Mail package from Nikki. And I think this is something I will use a lot. Now, am I going to go top? Or am I going to go over to the side on that? Quite like that. Let's see what else I have. These are, oh, do I want an image? Nope, I don't think I'm doing images, but I do want a label. To see, I want something that ties in with the colours. These ones are the plain. I might keep that out for a moment. Love the hexagon one. And that colour's quite nice too. I really want to keep this neutrals for the journal that I'm putting this into. So if I go for colour, it has to be a really small pop of colour. Right, let's look at these ones. I think I need a little something else on that page. I always forget Gayle's tip on tearing the right way so you don't get too much white edge. I like it in some cases, but in other cases you don't kind of want it. So I always forget to do that the right way round. that closes. I'm wondering, just going to play around for a minute. Whether I should go for a second label in there. Kind of thinking here, and then there's some space here to write, isn't there? Do like this. Do like this one. Okay. I think I have a plan. How much do I need? A little bit there. I do love this paper, it's nice and crinkly, makes that lovely noise. Right, I'm just, without disturbing my poor pussycat who's obviously really tired, I'm going to grab this. Thank you, Nikki, again for the lovely Happy Mail and this paper, it's really nice. There's so much you could do with it. Try and get as close to that torn edge as I can. I'm not worried about having a little bit of torn edge paper sticking out, but okay. I want this somewhere there. Not quite right. In my quest for neat edges, I'm going to glue that and fold it over. It's only a very small piece, but still going to turn that over. Got a little bit of glue on the back side, but that's fine. If you can see, that's kind of all of the edges are on that back side. Now, I'm interested mainly in these partial numbers, so it kind of matches the other side. And I think I'll overhang the edges of this too. So let's see, where do I want to stop gluing? Glue right down to the bottom, I think. Okay. Now I'm just going to pull my mat out because I don't want to get this much glue on my mat. Turn that round. Make sure I get that on there. And sorry scissors, I will clean you in a minute. Going to roll that over. I've actually got a teeny weeny bit sticking out of the top there, so I'm going to cut that. That off my scissors. Give those a clean in a minute. Yep, quite liking how this is coming along. Okay, so my labels, I definitely want this one. Definitely want this one. I've printed it on matte photo paper, so I'm gonna just get rid of that bit of glue on my finger. Wow, no botanicals. No botanicals, that's mad. Right, gonna pop that on there. Just gonna ink. From here. I mean, there's still scope to add botanicals at a later date if I feel the need. Oh, I've got glue there again. I've got a lovely glue rubber that somebody sent me, and I've put it in a safe place, and I am not sure where that safe place is right at this minute. I think it's one of those tools. Oh, I found it. Wow, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. I have used it, but only on my art glitter glue. This is the first time I've used it on Fabri-Tac, I think. Does that need to be a little bit more interesting? I think probably a piece of this, if I can. No, I don't need it. Just gonna go for the label. And these are the antiquity labels that are in my Etsy shop. But you could use any labels, or no labels at all. You could easily make them with a piece of cardstock or pretty paper. So that is my variation of the envelope flips. Not as exciting as the lovely ones that Wendy and Rachel do. Very, very plain in comparison. But you could, if you wanted to, you could easily stick a piece of cardstock over the back there if you wanted to use that as an insert rather than stuck into your journal. But you could just glue around the edge, stick that into your journal, and there you have your little two pocket flip. So I might come back and do another one, or maybe make some tags for this or something else, but I will see you very soon. Bye.